So it's the final day of COP and it's considerably quieter, I have to say, in the Blue Zone, which is nice because it means we can have some proper conversations with some amazing people, including James West, a policymaker at
Compassion in World Farming.
Tell us a bit more about what you are and what you guys do.
So we're a farm animal welfare charity. Our ultimate aim is to stop factory farming, the industrial rearing of animals for meat, dairy, eggs. We're here at COP specifically because greenhouse gas emissions, depending which report you listen to, but various UN reports put greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture somewhere between 15 and 30%.
Very, very interesting, only because our team went to see Eating Our Way to Extinction a couple of days ago, like night before last.
Yeah.
And one of our team is also writing a piece about exactly that, animal agriculture. And I was reading through it this morning, and she'd pulled a figure of, I think, 16% is the animal agriculture emission sort of footprint. And I am absolutely certain I've seen it higher. So where is that statistic? Where can we find that? And that sounds a bit chunkier to me, 30%.
So there was a UN FAO report from a few years ago put greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture, I think 14.5%. There was a report came out a week or two ago from the UN, I believe, that put food sector emissions at 30-something%.
Yeah.
Obviously, that includes deforestation, supply chains and so on. So that's not just the animal agriculture side of things. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what the animal number was within that, but the food production system accounts for around 30% of greenhouse gas emissions. Now, obviously, if you're trying to keep 1.5 in reach, and nobody here is talking about food and farming, it's going to be very hard to keep within 1.5 degrees.
So of course, James, it's not just the emissions issue with regard to animal agriculture, it's water.
Yes.
Water is no one's really speaking about the footprint of the water. What are your thoughts and views on that?
Well, water consumption for producing beef or most meat products is ridiculously high. We're talking thousands of litres to produce a kilogram of meat, which is, given the scarcity of water in some places, just appalling, really. But it's not just the water either. It's grain and soya being used in industrial systems. The conversion rate for that, calories in, calories out, is really inefficient, and even more worryingly, a lot of it comes from deforested land in the rainforest, in the Amazon and so on. So what we're saying is, if people eat less meat, there's a global reduction in the number of animals farmed. Those animals that are farmed are pasture-based, free range. They can eat grass and so on. You then don't need to feed them the grain, the soya. So you're benefiting the rainforest by not needing to chop it down to clear land for that growth. There's fewer animals, so there's less greenhouse gas emissions coming from that. Better for animal welfare because the animals are out in pasture, and better all round for everyone. More fruits and vegetables, alternative proteins. It's a win-win, but it's not being discussed here.
No, it's not. It evidently isn't being discussed. And I'm, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, I'm 6.5 years vegan. Simon and I are both 6.5 years vegan. We love our vegan life. We love our vegan food and the plant-based life. It's a wonderful place to be. However, I realised that getting to that point for me, I was a meat and fish girl, brought up on dairy, all the stuff, and my transition took probably a handful of years. Sure. It's education. It's lots of things that drop into place. Yeah. It's a long period, I think, between the point we are now to I don't think there could ever be a fully plant-based society.
No,
I don't.
Not, no.
It's a transition, and it is in decline. The vegan, market is on the rise, and plant-based things are on the rise. How do we positively just embrace some of these ideas when it challenges their dinner plate, which they love and have been brought up on, and it's what they have? How do we change that narrative to say, just lean towards a few more greens?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think ultimately it comes down to getting people to try it in the first place. There's kind of, particularly in the northern hemisphere, developed world, there's this kind of attitude that it's not a meal if there's not a bit of meat somewhere on the plate. Not necessarily a cut of meat, but it could be a
sausage roll, for example, or meatballs or whatever.
And it's that kind of, once people try alternatives, they think, they realise that actually there is, a different option. And if you, I gave some of the example earlier of people think, well, it's going to be really expensive if I do that. Well, actually, if you make like a sweet potato curry, it costs a lot less than making a lamb curry.
I'm hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. Another question that's, I posed a statement to our team, some of our team, and they hadn't heard about the holes that are cut sometimes into the sides of cows to help farmers jiggle their food processes down, because they're not designed to eat soy and other cereals and so on. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean,
it is a fact, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't aware of that specifically, but we are kind of trying to design animals to fit a system rather than designing a system that meets the animal's needs.
Yeah.
Cages for hens, feedlots for cows, farrowing crates for pigs. They all stop natural behaviours. These are animals that naturally would live in woodland, in fields. They'd wallow in the mud, they'd dust bathe, and instead all of that's prohibited from them because of the systems that they're confined within. And we're talking something like 80 billion animals farmed globally for meat and dairy, meat, eggs and dairy. I mean, that's astonishing.
It is astonishing. Tell me, are there scientific studies done to test depression in animals? Are you aware of anything that's taken place to just actually measure how these poor creatures are feeling?
I don't know about depression specifically, but there's lots of studies
done
on kind of on their welfare and kind of sentience and their ability to experience pleasure as well as pain. And generally speaking, these intensive farming systems prevent that experience of pleasure because there is only so high that the level of welfare can get in intensive confined systems.
Yeah. A long time ago, long before I was vegan, I had the joy of looking after 10 ex-battery hens.
Right, yeah.
And I remember them being taken out of a tiny box. They were super tiny. And I remember seeing them go on the ground and for the first time ever scratch the ground and eat blackberries and just do the thing that they should have access to do. And it will never leave me, ever. It will never leave me. Those instincts are there. And when given an opportunity, their lives are just so very different. They're incredibly sentient, incredibly aware and intelligent. And tell me, what's the biggest thing you're doing to raise awareness of the fact that things need to change? What's your big policy right now? What's your big drive?
So our big drive here at COP is what we term less and better, essentially. So people eat less meat, and when they do, they make sure it's from better systems, pasture-based, free-range, organic. And we're saying that in the developed world, we're probably looking at meat reduction needing to decrease by around 70%.
Yeah, from what it is currently.
From what it is currently.
70%. Yeah.
Obviously.
Do you think that's achievable, James?
With the right will, there is. And I think it's achievable, but I also think it's essential.
Yes.
There's the whole conversation, the whole reason we're here is because there's a climate emergency.
Absolutely.
And if we don't address meat and dairy, in addition to coal, cars, carbon, cash.
It's all part of the big picture, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's got to be in there.
Thank you for your discussion. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thanks.
And what do you think about the food here at COP?
I've been having kind of the vegetarian sandwiches from one of the grab and go. Last night I ordered a vegetarian curry and I ordered too much, so I had some pakor and a naan bread for lunch today.
Oh, nice.
I hear that it's of varying quality, I think, to put it diplomatically.
I think that's a very good summation, actually. And not very much choice.
No.
Which, as you say, for a climate crisis conference, is disappointing.
Yeah.
Thank you, James, for all
And
you're
you.
doing.
Thank
really
you.
nice to talk
And
to
you.
you.